Your Steve Jones Show podcast is loading now. The Steve Jones Show podcast is sponsored by Sunbury Motors, North 4th Street in Sunbury, and Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf.
When it comes to car buying, there's the other guy's way, and then there's the SMC way. The other guys force you into a vehicle you really don't want. The Sunbury Motors way lets you take the time you need to browse, ask questions, and take the test drive and think on it. For over 100 years, the Mertz family and all their employees have made your experience the most pleasant one you'll ever have. The other guys won't offer you the best price for your trade, no matter how much they say they will. The SMC way is their promise to provide you with the most money the market shows your vehicle is worth. The SMC way is to offer you all applicable factory rebates on new vehicles and generous discounts. Looking for a pre-owned vehicle? The SMC way checks each vehicle in a 200-mile radius to determine the lowest price, then beat it. It's the lowest price promise, just part of the SMC way. The choice is up to you, the other guy's way or the SMC way. The SMC way wins every time. Sunbury Motors Company in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury, and at sunburymotors.com. Selling more cars and satisfying more customers for over 100 years.
Sports talk where your voice counts. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Hola. Welcome. Great to have you with us. Today's show brought to you by Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury, Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and you can go online to sunburymotors.com. Ford, Lincoln, Kia, Hyundai, great pre-owned inventory. All at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors, Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. You can get the process going with your own, from the comfort of your own living room at sunburymotors.com. We welcome Matt back to the show today.
Yes, good to be back.
Well, great to have you here. What a great job Chad did yesterday. Boy.
Well, he always does.
Move the ball. Kind of felt like we moved the ball downfield. All right. Okay. We're going to hear from Micah Parsons today, and then we're going to hear from Noah Cain tomorrow. Noah Cain. He is quite a running back. Now, Noah, by the way, has not started working out yet, just so you know. He's not one of those. I think he's like Micah. He's not going to be until that second group next week. He was tested yesterday. I mean, he's in State College, so he's here. He's not down in Louisiana. He's here. He was tested yesterday. He doesn't have his results back yet. So, and it turns out the apartment complex that he's in has a gym. So, he's been able to at least work out there. And, you know, Louisiana had a tough time. And Noah's been one of those guys where he ended up spending most of his time in Dallas. That's where his mom lives. And then he was able to get to Arizona because he was able to get in contact with a personal trainer out there. And he felt, there are going to be some players across the country, some, not a lot, that might not go back this year because there's some concerns. But for places, for example, let's take State College as an example. They'll be more comfortable coming back here because it's a smaller town as opposed to maybe a university that's in a city. Because of the way this is played out, doesn't mean that COVID-19 doesn't go to small towns. It has, but obviously we've seen where have the biggest problems occurred. They've occurred, obviously, in nursing homes. but they've also occurred heavily in big cities, Philadelphia, New York, Washington, based on the numbers. And I think that's allowed some players, for example, to feel more comfortable with the fact they would come back to a state college. Now, I realize we had 6 new positives in the last 24 hours here, but 5 of the 6 were in nursing homes. Not to minimize it, but again, I'm talking about a confined area like that. So we'll hear from Noah Cain tomorrow, Micah Parsons today, and Bob Lombardi today. We're going to talk with him about the high schools getting on a path to playing in the fall and the precautions and so forth that do go with it. And we're going to hear from him at 4:06 today. No, 4:06 today. The College Football Hall of Fame announced its nominees today, who's on the ballot. And on the ballot include DJ Dozier, Bobby Engram, Steve Wisniewski, and current Penn State wide receiver coach Taylor Stubblefield, who played his college ball at Purdue. He's on the nomination list. He's on the ballot. Also on the ballot, Glenn Killinger, who's already in the College Hall of Fame as a player from Penn State. Now he's on the ballot as a coach. And Bloomsburg's Danny Hale is on the ballot as well for the great coaching work he did at Bloomsburg. And Tony Romo, by the way, is on the FCS level. So those are some of the names on the College Football Hall of Fame ballot released today. Obviously, the baseball thing, I feel after a while you get sick and tired of talking about it because it just seems so absurd. It's easy to sit there and blame Rob Manfred completely for all of this, but remember, he's representing owners. And look, you got 30 different constituencies here. Some are aching to get back and playing as an owner. Others are like, okay, take it or leave it. They can go either way. And then you probably have anywhere from 4 to 7 real hardliners. They're like, bag this. And he has to deal with all of that to then go into the negotiating table. But right now they have a big problem because you have a lot of people that is looking at them and saying they've lost all confidence in them. There are times when you are a negotiator. And I'm talking when you're negotiating a long-term deal. So let's advance the clock to December 2nd, 2021. So we'll advance the clock 16 and a half months. On December 1st, 2021, the collective bargaining agreement expires for Major League Baseball. So let's now kick it ahead. Now, if you're doing things right, you've had some preliminary discussions, you've tried to get some groundwork, you're trying to get something done before the deal runs out. But say the deal's run out and you're negotiating. And now we go to, say, January 15, 16, 2022. You've now gone 6.5 weeks, no agreement. And you feel like you've laid out some pretty good cards on the table, and you're not getting anywhere. At that point, it is okay, and I think it's a strong negotiating tactic, that you need to show the ability that you feel so strongly about what's going on here that you can walk away from the table. Some of the worst deals ever made are the ones where I feel just for the publicity of it, so we have to make a deal. A lot of those deals, whether it's sports-wise, business-wise, or politically, are bad deals when you have people desperate to make a deal. You have to have the ability, if you're a good negotiator, that when you have a long-term deal you're trying to put together, to have the ability to walk away and just say, that's it, we're out of here. Here's my number. You want to get serious about this? Give me a call. That isn't this moment. And that's why the baseball part of it is so baffling. That isn't this moment. This moment is different than putting together that long-term deal. And we've heard over the years that, because Manfred goes back to the late 90s, being one of the attorneys working with baseball. Okay? And not Tony Clark, but the new attorney that brought in is more of a hardline guy. And what's interesting is it seems, based on what you've read about these individuals, including Manfred, even though Manfred's been around baseball for a long time, the disturbing part is that you get the feeling that neither one of them really has a feel for the sport. I'll give you a good example. And this is a benign example. When Rob Manfred was asked whether the Astros should be stripped of their World Series title, he referred to the World Series trophy as, quote, a hunk of metal. Well, he had to walk that back the next day. That's not having a feel for your sport. For example, if Lou Catrillo goes out and wins the MVP of Little League, Matt would not take kindly if they referred to the trophy that he gets as a hunk of metal.
That is correct. And I'll tell you this, Steve, call this a hot take. I very rarely do this, but I am now moving Rob Manfred to the bottom of worst commissioner in the major sports right now. So that is below Gary Bettman. He has hit a new low, especially after his embarrassing comments on SportsCenter last night.
Gary Bettman, who's had 3 lockouts, has been able to work with his players to put together a 24-team tournament to at least keep his sport on TV, alive, and in the public consciousness. Now, they're not going to start going until late July like the NBA will. But take for example, Bud Selig. No matter what you say about Bud Selig had been in baseball as an owner or in some capacity since 1970. He was at least ingrained in the game every day. He had a great relationship, for example, friendship with Hank Aaron. And then negotiated one deal after another with the Players Association after the 94-95 season. What's interesting is that when you look back, there are only 9 remaining owners on that 94-95 fiasco. Ironically, one of them is Jerry Reinsdorf. You just saw him, obviously, portrayed on the Last Dance about the Bulls. And people will tell you, and I don't know the man, and I don't know this is a fact, but you listen to people in the know, and they'll tell you he's one of those hardline guys that's like, hey, we don't have to play, we have to play. You went through 94-95, and that's your attitude? How could that possibly be? I mean, to me, it's got to be the other way around. You got to be one of those guys saying, hey, look, let's not be desperate here. Let's just be smart, but we've got to play. Let's come up with a plan here to play. We're gonna have to take it in the back here financially this season, but and we're going to have to probably remove that financial knife from our shoulder in order to then have prosperity in the next 5 years. And completely left out of this are the fans, as always. I mean, when I hear an agent like Scott Boras say, well, you can't play without players. Well, guess what, buddy boy? You can't make any money without fans. Now, the fans aren't going to be represented. It's like the fans are unionized. The owners are represented. But guess what? If there are no fans, your clients are making no money. None. Zero. Zip. Zilch. Because guess what? No fans, no sport. You can't play without the owners. You can't play without players. And you can't play without fans. All three have to be engaged in what's going on. That's why when we get in these negotiations, you hear the stupidest things said. I mean, the only person I know that has made more money in the last 10 years than Scott Boras, the only two people I know that have made that kind of money have been Matt in the suit.
Well, I wish I could say that.
Well, I know the suit implies he does.
Well, this is exactly right. And speaking of the fandom, Steve, and I know we've talked about this numerous times already, that the fandom is kind of dwindling down significantly for baseball, but I saw not one, not two, but numerous different Twitter polls that have said, do you care if baseball comes back this year? And a majority of them have said no. That's all That's all you need to know right now, and that's just astonishing to me.
Exactly. Now, if you did the same poll 6 weeks ago, they'd have said yes. But now what they've done is, because of the nature of the negotiations, they've turned everybody off. Now, the optics of the TBS deal, they just signed a deal for $500 million. Well, again, you have to have the ability to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. You know what that ends up being for each team? About $10 to $12 million per team. All right? So, in other words, you made a deal with TBS, which averages out to maybe your number 2 or 3 starter in your rotation.
Taking your calls at 800-795-9565. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now, from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com, where you can check out the great lines of Ford, Lincoln, Kia, Hyundai pre-owned inventory, and great deals right now. Great deals. You can get the process started online at sunburymotors.com. And we're in the Sunbury Motors studio. By the way, the Las Vegas Raiders' new stadium, I think it's Allegiant Stadium, is going to host the 2021 Pro Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
And the comment of the day belongs to Michael, who wrote in on our Facebook page. Does anyone even watch the Pro Bowl anymore? Michael, you would be shocked at the rating. You'd be shocked at what the ratings are for the Pro Bowl. Shocked. You sit back and go, really? I remember Jack Ham and I were talking about this, and Jack played in what did Jack play in? 9 of those? 10 of those? Something like that. And I told him what the rating numbers were, and he said, you have to be kidding me. I said, no.
Everyone's got to give the Pro Bowl a chance.
I know, you're the one that loves the Pro Bowl.
I like it that it's in Vegas. I think that's a good idea on the NFL's part, but I'm still the number one advocate to bring it back to Honolulu. Aloha Stadium.
Oh, believe me, when Jack played in it and they were going to Hawaii, he and Joanne couldn't wait to go. They're like, this is great.
Yeah.
All right. He is not only one of the best linebackers in all of college football, but he also may be one of the best players, period, in college football. Micah Parsons had a chance to talk with the media yesterday, starting with Greg Pickle at PennLive.com.
Hi, Micah. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Hey, how did the first workout go today, and what's it like just to be back on campus and in the weight room and around your teammates again?
I decided I'm coming in phase 2. I just knew it would be like my last week at home. I wanted to spend Father's Day with my son and, spend it with my father for the last time before I headed back to campus. So I'm going to come back next Monday.
Next question is Ali Barubi, ABC 27, Harrisburg.
Hey, Micah, how's it going?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. So obviously it's been a crazy time for everyone, but I want to ask you, what's kept you motivated these last couple months to, keep working out, keep doing what you got to do to make sure you're ready for this fall?
Honestly, just, keeping my mind, hoping that we're going to come back to the season, just putting the work in so I can get the results that I want this year. And, just thinking about my family, they were extra motivation. Seeing what we were going through, mom going through struggles, father going through struggles, obviously with COVID. So, it was just extra fuel for me, and I was just able to just keep going. And then also, some of the guys will send videos to each other, at each other on social media saying what we're doing today. So pushing each other from afar. So, from the football team and my family, they gave me all the support and motivation I needed to get through it these couple months.
Our next question is Mark Brennan, Fight On State.
Hey, Micah, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Thanks for doing this. I wonder if you've been able to identify some areas where you think you could get even better from last year. We haven't really talked to you since the bowl game. What are some of the things that maybe you're focused on?
I just say completing my game, cleaning up all the things I'm good at. You can always get better at everything you do. So I just say get better at what I already do now. I'm going to just continue to get better at my strengths, and I'm going to continue to get better at my weaknesses. I'll say, sheesh, I don't know. I can't give you no bad stuff. People might see it and be like, oh, we're going to target that. So I'm going to just say, I'm going to just clean up, my mental side of the game, I would say.
Next question is Peter Terpstra, WTAJ.
Hey, Micah, I saw a video not too long ago. I don't know, days have been running together. You were working out with some Penn State wrestlers, carrying some logs and doing some stuff. What was some stuff that you were doing in the time away to stay in shape, and how was that time for you?
I was doing everything with the wrestling team. I actually trained with Bove a little bit with some MMA stuff. I was doing running, field work, running hills. I was doing anything I could think of, anything that seemed fun or challenging for me. I was doing it, just as a competitor, and just, I just knew it would make me better. I was actually wrestling a little bit with Bo again this off season, and it was just some fun stuff. It was interesting.
Next question is Audrey Snyder, The Athletic.
Hey, Micah, thanks for your time today. You mentioned your family. Are they okay throughout all of this?
Yeah.
And how did they kind of determine who was going to come back to campus when?
They were okay. Wait, what was the second question?
How did Penn State determine who was going to come back in phase 1 versus phase 2? Or did you decide that, or?
It was like a mutual thing. If you said that you wanted to come back in phase 1, you could. They're only a week apart. They try to bring most of the scholarship guys back. Some decided to stay, depending on your situation. But you know, my family is doing well. They are getting through it.
Next question is Ben Jones, statecollege.com.
Hey, Micah, I know before Saquon's junior year, you could kind of sense that this was his moment, and kind of it feels like going into your junior year that this sort of feels like your moment. Does it feel that way for you? Does this season feel different aside from all the things that are different about, you know, what's going on this offseason?
No, not really, man. Like, you know, I'm just a person that just like, I just play the game and just so happen to be good at it, you know. So I just take every day for what it is. Go out there and just give my 100% and do what I do best. There's no more pressure to it. I feel like when you add pressure and you add all those other factors, it can alter how you play and perform. I just want to go out there and have fun with the game, you know. And that's what it's about, just going out there and have fun and being dominant about it. There ain't nothing more to it than, you know, just going out there and trying to win championships this year. And that's all it is, you know. I'm just trying to win championships this year. And if it's my year, it's my year, you know.
Next question is Tyler Donahue, Lions 247.
Hey, Micah, great to hear from you today. Thanks for the time. Your days at linebacker at Penn State have quickly gone from being a first-year starter to the only returning starter. Can you kind of give us a scouting report on that linebacker room right now, and maybe a younger guy like Lance Dixon, Brandon Smith, who we haven't seen a lot of yet, where you feel like their careers are headed?
Brandon Smith or Lance Dixon are going to have a chance to be a starter this year, and so is Jesse Luketa and Ellis Brooks. It's going to be a crazy competitive room this summer, this camp. I personally can't wait to see who's going to win the jobs out of them four. All of them are hardworking guys that's going to come in and really compete for the jobs that they want. It's going to be interesting to see, you know, Ellis and Jesse are in the battle, and Lance and Brandon are in the battle over at Sam, linebacker. So it's going to be very interesting to see, you know. They all have different edges, what they're good at, and they just got to use it to their strengths and go 100% in camp and win the job.
Our next question is Donnie Collins, Times Tribune.
Micah, being the veteran guy now, experience-wise, in that position, it usually comes with a bigger leadership role. Do you feel excited for that, ready for that? And is there a challenge with not trying to change too much of how you approach things in that regard?
Yeah, it's always a challenge when you're stepping into a bigger role. I was just telling Ellis this the other day when we were talking. I said it's going to be completely different. I went from the guy that never said anything to the guy that probably got to speak up more, you know. I got to go outside of my comfort zone a little bit and speak up more and try to be that guy for the younger guys. And, you know, it's going to be a challenging year for me, but, you know, I think it can't do nothing but help me grow. You know, it's a challenge that I got to be willing to accept, and a challenge that I got to be willing to grow into to do what we want to do this year. So it's something that I'm really looking forward to and I'm excited about.
Joel Smith, CBS 21. Joel, are you able to unmute yourself?
Does that work? Hello?
There you go.
There we go. All right. Sorry about that. Mike, I want to talk about social justice a little bit. I know that you've been looking online and making comments sometimes about what's been going on.
You're echoing a little bit.
All right, let me kill one of those.
I think it's better than
No, I'm still hearing it. Hold on. Why don't you come back to me? I'm going to work on that.
I'll come back to you, Joel. Next question is Mike Gross, Lancaster Newspapers. Hold on, Mike. Let me unmute you. Go ahead.
Am I here?
Yep, you're good.
Hear me?
Yep. You there, Mike? We'll come back to Mike. Next up is. Oh, you there, Mike?
Hi, Micah.
Hey.
Hey, Mike, you're cutting out.
I'm here. Yeah, you heard me?
You're cutting out.
You heard me?
Yeah, we got you now.
Mike? Okay. Okay. You got me? Okay. Micah, you heard me?
Yep.
Okay. Micah, a couple months ago when we talked to James, he said he guessed that maybe about 10% of the team might opt to not come back when you first come back from the pandemic. Do you know if any of your teammates have decided not to come back, and have you had to fill out some kind of paperwork, a waiver or something like that, the way we've heard that the Ohio State players had to?
I didn't hear the last end of that question.
We'll come back to Mike. We'll check on Mike in a little bit. Neo Riddell, Altoona Mirror.
Not hear me?
Yep.
I'm there. Yeah, thank you. I'm wondering, Mike, a little bit more on the Donnie's question about being a leader. Who are the guys that you've looked up to, and have you talked to any of the past players about what it's like to step into that leadership role?
A person I looked up to in the linebacker room was Jan. And it wasn't a sense of how he played, but, you know, how he carried himself every day and how he approached the game the right way. He might not have been the most athletic guy, but his mental and how he approached the game and his study of the game and helping me understand the game was just, like, off the charts. Jan helped me a lot while I was on the field. He helped me a lot off the field, in the film room, helped me understand, like, you know, systems, why they're running this, what they were running this. So that was always a person I looked up to. And I've talked to Cam Brown recently. And, you know, I've talked to Saquon recently. And I've talked to Trace McSorley after he just had left. And he told me going into my sophomore year that I was going to break out and I had to start becoming a leader and things like that. And I've talked to him recently. And guys like that. And just, like, just learning how to be that guy that everyone looks up to and learning what it takes and what do you have to give up to be that guy. You have to give up wanting to have fun all the time and being serious and have to changing your approach. So just those type of leadership qualities that you want to see in a person is just kind of important and how they explained it to me.
Our next question is John Sauber, Center Daily Times.
Hey, Mike, how much harder has it been to make that transition to the leadership role when you're not with your teammates, when everything's over a video conference and you don't actually get to see those guys?
It makes everything so much harder because, you know, you don't know who's really paying attention. You don't know who's really working out as hard as they possibly can. You don't know any of those things. So it's hard to really monitor, but we get this chance to come back and get in the flow of things during these voluntary workouts, and we're just going to go from there. You know, we can't control what happened with this pandemic. We can't control what's been going on in the world right now, but we can control how we come back after this pandemic and how we move forward. So we're going to control the things that we control now, and we're going to get better from it.
Our next question is Nubias Wilborn, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette.
Two quick things. One, what was your son's name? And then the other part was, how did the news that the guys were coming back, the students were able to come back to campus on August 24th, make you feel just kind of seeing that it'll be somewhat like normal on campus?
My son's name is Malcolm Floyd Ham Parsons. And, you know, just hearing that we're coming back, that's like a relief because, you know, you want to play in front of the fans, like, and you want to do all those type of things, and you want to have that type of environment. You know, it's not as fun taking these classes over Zoom meetings online. You kind of want to be interactive. It's harder to get your one-on-ones with the teachers and communicate things that you don't understand. But so hearing that news is a relief. You know, I hope that things could go back to normal, and we're just taking the next step forward to go back to normal. I don't think no one likes this pandemic, and, you know, we're going to keep moving in the right direction, hopefully, and hopefully by the time the season comes, Beaver Stadium is going to be full and packed.
Our next question is Mark Wogenrich, SportsIllustrated.com. You there, Mark? We'll come back to Mark. Next question is John Petishnock, HappyValley.com.
Hey, Micah, appreciate your time today and hope you're doing well. Hey, you talked about pressure earlier. I wanted to ask, what is your definition of pressure, and do you feel pressure for the team to make the playoffs this season?
It's no pressure, you know. I feel like what you put in this off season, what you put in every day in practice, when you do those things and the work that you put in, there's really no pressure. It's just going out there and performing. Like, you know what you're capable of, you know what you could do. So really, what is the pressure? You could put your own pressure, you know, your own goals on yourself, but there's no pressure on us making the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like, it's either we do what we got to do or we don't. It's real simple. And, you know, every week I know I'm going to go 110% every day. And I know whether I win or lose, I can say, like, I did everything I possibly can to win the game or, you know, got better. So I won't put no pressure on myself to do anything because the work's going to speak for itself. And I tell all my guys in the weight room, you just got to speak it into existence. Everything that you put in the air, you speak it into existence. Last year, I wrote down my goals, and most of my goals came true. This year, I'm going to write down my goals, and it's going to come true. Just like this offseason. When we came in, after break, I said, I'm going to clean 375 power clean. And I said the proof's in the pudding. Every day I came in, I made sure I was doing everything I had to do, the extra. And what came that day, when it was testing day, I threw up 375. Because I said, the proof's in the pudding. I told you I was going to do this before I even did it. So, literally, you do everything you got to do every day to get there, and you're going to make it happen. So, once the season comes and we get back to working, we're going to do everything we're going to have to do, and we're going to make it happen, and we're going to head in the direction to make the playoffs and hopefully go more.
Micah Parsons.
Evan Patrick, Daily.
Micah Parsons. Always love these Zoom calls where, are you there? You're echoing. Oh, at some point we got to transition out of Zoom. I know right now it's helping us, but at some point we got to transition out of Zoom. But right now it helps. So that's how we do things. That's how we do things. All right, we're going to zoom into a break. Back with more in a moment here on News Radio 1070 WKOK, brought to you by Sunbury Motors.